Alright, wow, that all worked surprisingly well. Okay, so let's overlay some chat there. Alright, so we're all live. Okay, I don't know if anyone's out there or not. Trying this on 5 different streams at the same time, so even Instagram, which tends to be a little problematic for me at times. So if there's anyone out there now, let me know. Okay. Swell. Alright, I might have messed something up on Instagram here. Okay, I'm going to try to test. No, I know I should have done this before. Okay, good enough. Now, since I'm trying a different format here, sorry if I miss any comments. Oh, there. I don't know if I'm recording live everywhere, so we'll see. So today is Webhead Wednesday. Let's get my ugly mug out of there. That's gonna, there. So today is Webhead Wednesday, and I thought I would draw Venom, and because not that long ago I ended up buying this, the complete Marvel Spider-Man Eric Larson omnibus, and drew a Venom. It was really wild back in the day, so that will be my inspiration for this, and I'll be using gray tone paper. Now, for the 1 or 2 people that have actually seen my videos, when I'm using a toned paper, I will tend to go with my softest graphite. Because it shows up a little bit better. And Venom is one of those characters, especially if I'm drawing old school Eric Larson style Venom. He has a surreal jaw. I've never been sure how the mechanics work for that, but alright, so if there is anyone out there right now, let me know that you're online. I just want to make sure that my streaming software is working properly. because I don't know where all this is showing. And probably would have been more, if I thought about it, I should have actually just called up an image on my iPad. I'm going to do that digitally instead of breaking out this monster of a book. But I wanted an excuse to break out this monster of a book. So I will keep that on the side of me. Maybe one day I'll actually get something that I can hold a book here if I want to work with that. But I've got my reference right beside me, so. When a little bit of unsolicited comic history, when Venom was first created, the first visual was actually created by Todd McFarlane. And even though with the weird mouth and the teeth and the tongue, was still rather conservative, then Eric Larson took over and kind of exaggerated everything, and then for a long time a lot of other artists like super exaggerated things. Somewhere around the turn of the century, I think things like the eye design, the teeth, the tongue, all that stuff did get reined in, but Venom did not have this kind of tongue at the start. And this is where I'm talking about the using the softer pencil, because it's showing up. Well, for one, it's showing up a little nicer on my screen. Unless it's not, and if I have viewers out there, feel free to tell me if this is a little wonky to you. And the nice thing about when you get into weird designs like this, and given the nature that Venom is actually one part shape-changing alien symbiote, you can kind of, gives you a little bit of leeway to not stick with a design originally just kind of meant to be Spider-Man's opposite number. But for those out there that are more familiar with the Tom Hardy Venom movies, there is not really any kind of Spider-Man. And because I'm not working with any kind of established reality, well, I get to have a little more fantasy, especially if I'm using, especially if my reference is Eric Larson. I'm going to check my Instagram really quick to see if I'm still doing anything. Instagram is still causing me issues. I think no matter which route I go, I'm just going to have to stream live with Instagram. Stream live with Instagram separately, maybe using my phone as Yeah, it doesn't seem like I'm showing up live. On Instagram, so yeah, I'm sorry if I've actually got Instagram followers out there that are commenting. I can't see you guys or gals. And hopefully that's enough rambling, because I am able to stream live to more social media. I didn't do as big a countdown to let all the social media know where I was at. I bit the bullet and upgraded my Restream to try out. I will test my couple things. Okay, so my art page is posting all right. And all right. So the only thing I can't really see is Instagram. So I'll have to go back to my usual of just streaming that with my phone separately then. Which I'm not making too bad a time here. I think I had a 1 minute, so I'm gonna at this 15 minutes. No big deal. Now another thing for people that are familiar with the Tom Hardy version, because that Venom has no real ties to Spider-Man. Tom Hardy Venom does not have this spider emblem on him. So I'll just sketch that out now and carry on my way. God, I never realized how janky Eric Larson drew the teeth on this. Like this person the symbiote has not been to a dentist. some of the, it's going to be some of the highlights eventually. There's one thing I did not think through when I decided to do this on gray tone paper is I am going to have to incorporate some color in there. It's not impossible, but sometimes the colors don't quite show up as well when I'm using my Copics. But I think I can work with this. Actually, you know who also really drew a badass Venom back in the day? Sam Keith. There's my drink from. I realized if I showed what I was drinking like that, I'd spill my drink on everything. It's cooled down considerably. But yeah, got a drink there earlier. A little hot. Now it's a little cool, but I can work with it. That's funny. Actually feeling alright with this one enough to be able to consider starting taking this to the ending stage, or at least clean up. Feeling probably more confident than I should with the Copic at this point. Actually, I should have done that a little higher. Actually, you know what? I'm not even worry about that one. Haha. And that's why I'm using the wide right now, to maybe expedite some of this. And that is a nice thing about Venom primarily being a character with very little color in his wardrobe. I'll leave that blank because I want to see what I'm doing with the blue highlight. So for anyone out there that does feel like chatting, does anyone have a favorite Venom? Comic, uh, movie, any other medium? Keeping in mind that I am at that point in my midlife where I'm not reading a lot of Marvel and DC currently. No kind of statement involved. I just haven't. Um, so a lot of my reading has been kind of going back to the stuff I was reading when I was younger, because they've all now since come out with a little more collected edition, and because, like a bad fanboy, I read my comics and didn't always care what condition they were in. They are not in the best of shape, and some have actually since fallen apart. So now, again, reclaiming my youth by buying books like these. I can also put those on my bookshelf. I'll have to set up messed up here. Oh, no, messed up here. Okay, that's an easy enough fix. Can do it. Black it out. And again, a little bit of creative license, because with a character like Venom that has a malleable suit, you can kind of get away with. Right. No, this is not special. I only need regular one. There we go. All right. Sorry, have to top up a sec. If there is anyone out there, again, feel free to say hi. I have a viewer counter, but I don't know if it's registering any actual viewers or just the time I double checked to see if I'm streaming properly. Now, I probably can't see it because I'm not in view shot, but I usually try to empty out or refill my Copics in a little garbage pail I keep nearby me, away from what I'm wearing, even if I'm not wearing newer, nicer clothes. A lot of times I'm usually here in my pajamas. And I want to avoid exactly that. So, keep ugh. Oh, that was awkward. Didn't get my wedding ring. I'm good. There. Enough rambling aside. I'll see if I can add that a little bit later. Blackened in a little more than I thought. What will I do to fix this? We will find it. Alright, so I'm going to put this away before I hurt myself further. I'll set that aside because I want to clean that up. Again, I just splotched a ton of blacking. So let's see if I can fix this here. Okay, good. I won't be... So it should work, so... My Posca pen, this is where I'm going to kind of add that white highlight. My pad away a bit here. And I might be at the end of the life on this. Sorry if I'm not as lively. If I don't see interaction in the comments, then kind of veer off and ramble into stupidity. And I like to do this a lot, turn this upside down. Sometimes why I like using a tone paper and then add a little bit of white, kind of makes it pop a little bit compared to using all white. Now the thing that's going to get me here is going to get in trouble with the tongue. Actually, before I worry about that, wait for the Posca to dry, I might just kind of blacken this in a little more. And that's the other reason why I'm using my Copic here instead of more traditional inks like India ink or my pocket brush pen, because I find with the Copic, if I need to, I can overlay one of my colored pencil or Posca pen a little easier. But yeah, usually I don't like how my stuff turns out, but I'm actually not minding this. Do a little bit of cleanup for Venom's tongue here. I've got my desk pretty well right next to my wall, which means every time I erase, you hear clangety clang clang clang. That is my light fixture banging off my wall. That's the other, this is the nicer thing too about using a softer pencil, because if I need to, it can erase away a lot quicker. So I wonder, got these a couple weeks ago. Okay. Because as many Poscas as I have, I don't have the entire set. Coral. Alright. Give a second to charge up my Coral, because I wonder if a Posca pen will work better than my Copic. While we wait, any questions out there? Any hi, what's up? Any you suck Barton? No? Nothing? Alright. That might seem a little too out there. Okay, you know what? This will actually work a little bit better, but this time. Okay, yeah. Just overlaying a very light red. There is kind of a more of a pinky, but the gray paper is actually muting this enough where I'm actually getting an effect I can live with. And I'll have to figure out what I'm doing with the teeth. I'll figure out those teeth. What do I want to do about in here? Good, the ink is dried where I can open this book without. Okay, I think I've got something here. So I will go in with, for the shading in the mouth. I will, as soon as I can get there. God. I don't know if I add like any kind of pinky highlights to indicate that this gaping hole is actually still a mouth, as alien as it can be. In the meantime, I'm going to touch up some points in here. I'm not going to use my wide. I'm using a modified classic. When I say modified, I've covered this in a lot of my other videos. I have a lot of Copic markers. Back in the day, the favorite was the Sketch. I've long since held the belief that the classics don't get enough love. This one is dried out. So, but as I was saying, with the classic markers, they don't get a lot of love because they're just not as popular as the Sketch. I understand these days there's a lot more options for art markers that are refillable. I haven't studied up on them yet. And this is not a product endorsement for Copics. But the one nice thing about the classics is you can, these aren't adjust the nibs. These are not the nibs that typically come with a classic. These are the nibs that tend to come with them, and since my custom Copic is dried out, and this one is too. Jeez. I should do a better job of testing out my supplies before going online. Either way. And that's why I started with the Copic first and then went in with the Posca pen because, again, the Copics seem to work a little bit better when I need to overlay. Poscas if I were to use my India ink. That would... It's manageable, but it's a trickier thing, and I find that the results are not always great. Right. So I'm going to see about this blue. Alright, that's working alright. My ink tints. I don't get a chance to break out my pencil crayons too much. Okay, so downside is the ink tints will not work for so I colored over some highlights that I wanted to. I have a brighter. I'm using a lighter blue because I can. Add a little bit of let's see. What do I want to add here? I am missing something out of open. No pencil in. My white pencil here. So I'm actually not minding this white. Let me see if I can. I'm going to do with the teeth. See if I can. Okay, I can do this. Good.
Hey, Dad. Dad.
Sorry about that. Had a little emergency upstairs. All right. So, I think I am almost ready to call this. But now on to inking. I'm actually amazed at what little pen erasing I actually had to do with this one. Jeez. Venom needs to see an orthodontist. Starting to get lost in the work again. And Okay, now I'm wondering, what do I want to do with the background here? If I want to do anything. So, anyone that's out there, thoughts on background? Nothing? No? Good. That was the wrong button to press. Okay. Okay, so in this comic I'm looking at Venom's so I forgot to add some drooly drool. Okay, another pencil sharpener. Always have like 6 different pencil sharpeners on hand. Todd McFarlane's, Eric Larson's Venom is a little more slobbery. Add a little bit of shadow in here. How I'm going to accomplish that is just going to layer a little bit more. Okay, that's created a bit of an undershadow. Now, onto the good stuff. Adding more slobber to Venom. I was starting off so great with time and then just lost track. This was not the plan, but I realized that I was a little short with the drool, and it's probably a good thing I'm sticking with the pencil here. Kind of lets me, kind of lets all the slobber that I'm making on the Posca stick out a little more. I already messed up my one finger with my Copic inks anyway. Alright, at this point it's now just me adding unnecessary drool. And, actually amazed at what little erasing I had to do this time. Not this is perfect, mind you, but I can live with this. Right, that is Venom done old school style. And yeah, should probably mention that this Saturday is Free Comic Book Day, and I will actually be appearing at where I get most of my comics, Worlds Collide, downtown Oshawa. So anyone that has the time, want to get some free comics, drop in and say hi. If I was more prepared, I should have had like signage and whatnot. Maybe in the next video, but just gonna do this. All right, so that is it for me today. So I don't know where this is showing up. I know for sure YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, or not, and 2 of my Facebook accounts, my art page and my personal. I did set up for Instagram as well, but excuse me, I don't know where that panned out. All right, so I'm just gonna take the chat overlay off. Be awkward with the camera, and I am calling it a stream. For anyone that's bound to check this out eventually, thanks for stopping by, and